Good morning. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you here. My name is Ola Atamanova. Welcome to the Media Center. Thank you for joining us both offline and online, and thank you for being with us. Today we have invited you uh, to witness the meeting of the musical wars. We can witness the visit of an American double bassist who will have a performance with the Symphonic Orchestra of Ukraine in the National Philharmonic. They will perform the works of the classical composers along with the Ukrainian composers, Mykhailo, Shved, and the soloist will be an American virtuoso, James VanDemark. Welcome, gentlemen. So let me introduce us speakers. Joining us today are Mykhailo Shved, director of the National Philharmonic of Ukraine. Also joining us is Theodore Kuchar, the conductor, and American contrabassist, American virtuoso, James VanDemark. So today we will discuss the premiere, what's going to happen, and the first question will be to Mr. Mykhailo. I understand that for you it's a great event, just like for all of the Ukrainians. So how have you been able to organize such a premiere, and what are your expectations? Good morning. Basically, for the National Philharmonic of Ukraine, it's a great honor to receive such prominent guests. Mr. Theodore Kuchar is a frequent guest to our Philharmonic, and with Mr. Theodore, we plan to close the season of the National Philharmonic with the academic orchestra of Philharmonic. And we invite you to witness this event, but talking about the activity that is going to happen on this Friday, we really appreciate the fact that Mr. Theodore was able to invite Mr. James VanDemark. Mr. James already had a master class yesterday. On Tuesday, we had an open rehearsal. It's one of the parts of the work of the Philharmonic when upon preliminary registration, everybody who wants may visit the open rehearsal. And we really hope that on Friday, the concert will be very interesting. There will be Czech music, Boguslav Martin's symphony, then there will be a symphony by a Czech composer, Janáček. It will be in coordination with the Ukrainian Cultural Center, and there will be two premieres of Ukrainian composers that were ordered by Mr. James for double bass with orchestra, but I think Mr. James will be able to tell you in more detail because it was his suggestion, his request, and us as a Ukrainian musicians, we really appreciate it because it's an incredible support for us, support of our work, support in performance of those works. And I really want to thank Mr. James for, that he, by his request, by his performance, and by his arrival at Ukraine, expresses his support to Ukraine, to Ukrainians, Ukrainian musicians, as a musician, as a personality in his personal ways. So I really want to thank him because the air raid alerts are still sounding in Kyiv, in Lviv. Unfortunately, we already take it calmly because it's a part of our life, but a person who lives abroad, who dares to come to give us a gift of their performance is really very valuable for us. Thank you, Mr. James. It's a really civilian deed. Mr. Mykhailo, are there any tickets still available? Can any Ukrainians still join this event to see what's going to happen there? Yeah, there are still tickets available. The concert will happen at 1900 on the 23rd on Friday. So dear spectators, please use this opportunity and visit the concert. Mr. Theodore, a question to you. So how have you come up with such an idea? You're a frequent guest in our premises. So how have you come up with this idea to join it, to invite Mr. James to visit us? And how have you been able to actually realize this idea? The history behind this project, how it was born, and how it's about to end is looking very natural. I've been knowing James for a lot of years now. We were previously talking as professionals in America, in Puerto Rico, as musicians, but back in the year 2023, when Lviv Symphonic Orchestra with Lviv National Philharmonic had their first visit to the United States, we had 40 concerts, and some of them were real prestigious in Carnegie Hall in New York, in Miami, Chicago, Cleveland. And when any big collective performs abroad, there's a lot of additional costs about which we don't think. First, and one of the biggest expenses is carrying large instruments like cellos, drums. It's not like a flute that you can take as a carry-on on your plane. But there's a question. 7 double bass players, are they going to bring their double basses, or is it smarter to find 7 double basses in America, to lease them, to rent them, and definitely such issues are solved by the conductor of the orchestra. So I started thinking, whom can I contact? What should I do? And then I thought to myself, look, I have a real close colleague, one of the most prominent, outstanding teacher of double bass in the United States. Well, probably he doesn't have 7 double basses, but he is most likely to know where to find them. And he said, give me 5 minutes. And one student has opened a shop where he sells violins, cellos, double basses. So let me find out. And in 5 minutes, he's calling me back. I found the double basses for you. However, your first concert is in Florida, and the double basses are in Worcester. It's about 22 hours drive. 1 week before the journey, after the rehearsal in Lviv, I came to New York. I rented a big, I've taken a big car that university lent to me. Everybody wanted to support, actually. So we showed 7 double basses in that van, and I've taken all that way from the state of New York to Florida. So we started in Florida, and I think during the 3rd week we had a concert in Worcester on the 30th of January. This is when we had this concert. James received us a couple of hours before the concert. He invited us for a coffee and dinner. He asked, do you need any reinforcement? I can play with you this evening. And he sat as a part of an orchestra, played a program, everybody was laughing. And then when he found out that on the 15th of February we have a concert in Carnegie Hall, he asked, should I support you in Carnegie Hall? And after the concert, he said, Theodore, I really love your orchestra. I like the people. You have good people. You play at a very high level, and I would like to somehow support Ukraine, the musical life in Ukraine during the times of war. I'm not sure what, as an American musician, as a double bass player, what I can do, but probably as an American, I can play some double bass concert, maybe 2. We could play them in Ukraine, and I would take my best efforts to share that performance in America and elsewhere in the world. I thought it's a great idea. There's a lot of composers who would appreciate it, who would appreciate this opportunity And this is how it started. I really trust Mr. Mykhailo Shved as a person, as a friend, but most important, as a composer. I was familiar with some of his works. I've heard professionalism, I've heard honesty, and I've heard the musical voice that got me curious. But until that time, I probably didn't have opportunities to somehow bear some new type of music. And what James was suggesting, that in any musical situation, we've discussed it, and then I got in touch with Maksym Kolomiiets, the composer, who is now very positively advertising musical justice, quality, professionalism, the things that currently exist in Ukraine. And I think that currently in Europe, in America, the composer Maksym Kolomiiets is becoming more and more prominent, and his time is about to come. But such an opportunity, an American soloist request, future opportunities for development of Mykhailo Shved, Maksym Kolomiiets, that was a colossal moment for everybody. Mr. Theodore, it sounds really inspiring, and this story is really important for all of us, for all of the Ukrainians, and for our listeners. And I will unveil it a little bit, and I'll say that Mr. Theodore has got Ukrainian roots, so don't be surprised by his wonderful Ukrainian. I think that's really important for us, that you continue supporting our people in such a way. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. James. And a question to you. In fact, we understand that, as Mr. Mykhailo has mentioned, we are all used to living in such conditions. It's been 11 years of the war. It's year 4 of the full-scale invasion, but we still understand that for the people who dare to come to Ukraine, it's a country that is waging a war, a ruthless war. And for us, it's important to understand how have you dared, and it's important for us that you're here with us now. We want to thank you for this, but it's still important to understand how everything happened. Did you have any anxiety before going to Ukraine?
No anxiety about coming here. It is my duty to be here. It's the duty, I believe, of all people in this world who believe in justice, in democracy, and believe in freedom. How could I not? I had to come here. When I was a teenager, 17 years old, I was living in Canada on my own, completely. I'm an American. This is before internet and cell phone, but I was playing professionally in an orchestra, and a Ukrainian family in Canada took me in for a year to help me out because I was a lonely teenager. And they helped me through a difficult time and helped me with my professional life. So this is also my way of paying it back. I had a debt. I had a debt to Ukrainian people through my Ukrainian friends, both Ted Kuchar and many others throughout the United States and Canada. I have followed the war very closely. I have kept track of both the historical aspect, the military aspect, and there is no choice. I think people have to stand up for what they believe in. My voice is perhaps best seen, heard through music. And so luckily, I was introduced by Ted to Mykhailo Shved and to Kolomiiets, and they agreed immediately that this is something important to do. They both have something very important to say in their unique way, and I'm thrilled and honored to be a part of it and to be here now.
Я дуже дякую вам за це і хотіла
Well, thank you very much for this. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but during the full-scale invasion, we see an incredible demand for cultural events in Ukraine. We really observe it. All of the concerts are sold out in theaters, concerts, and musical projects, and that's one of the answers to this question, that this is what is needed for Ukrainians now, and this is how we find this feedback. And it's interesting to find out why the choice of composers. Why exactly those composers?
So I heard their music, and I heard, as Maestro Kuchar said, I think I heard their heart, their intelligence, their commitment, and their dream that they express in their music. So, knowing that the Ukrainian audience is so enthusiastic, and I mean, you're right, you go to concerts, everybody's there. It's an act. It's an act of democracy and freedom to go to a concert and celebrate Ukrainian culture. So I'm not Ukrainian, but I still believe in those things. And if I can be a part of it, it's a thrill. It's an absolute thrill.
Які ваші очікування від
So what are your expectations of the event that is about to happen this Friday? And the second question that I would like to ask you, what is your impression of those events that have already happened, open rehearsals, masterclass? So what's your impression of them?
Well, I've loved every minute of it. I mean, it's very different than what might happen in the United States or elsewhere, but it's also the same. Everyone in the orchestra, the composers, are committed to making the best possible concert, the most artistic statement. And again, like you said, everyone here is living under not the easiest conditions. And so to be able to go out and make music as a statement for what Ukraine stands for, it's a thrill to be part of any rehearsal, any concert, any masterclass.
після повернення ви будете
So after the return, are you going to continue playing this music in America?
Absolutely. And I think Americans want to hear it, not just because it's great music. It's fantastic music, fantastic writing, but it's music with a story. It's music with a heart. It's music with a purpose.
Дякую вам дуже. Для нас це
Thank you very much. It's incredibly important for us that our composers have such influence, and they will be heard in international arenas. And obviously, I would like to ask you about your impression of our country. I don't know, is it your first time in Ukraine or not? But how do you like Kyiv? How do you like Ukrainians?
Well, fabulous. Both. It's great. I've had a wonderful time here, met wonderful people, fabulous food. Oh, incredible, both in Lviv and Kyiv. My only question is, when can I move here? So Ukraine has so much to offer the world. And if more people knew not only about the war, but what else is so prominent in Ukrainian culture, past, present, future, they'd all want to be here.
Теодоре, Джеймс, питання буде
Mr. Theodore, Mr. James, another question to you. Probably this concert will be the first one to inspire you to further plans, or you have already those plans in place?
Right. We have further plans. We'll tell you about that soon.
Я дуже вдячний.
Well, and I appreciate that I have a pretty long history with Ukraine. I've started with the National Symphonic Orchestra as a chief conductor and director general back in 1994. We have our story, and I really appreciate that we can continue it. I'm a chief conductor in the National Philharmonic in Lviv, and I'm really thankful that now a new phase of my musical life is opening with the Symphonic Orchestra of the National Philharmonic in the end of June. It's going to happen on the 29th. and we'll play the string concert of Johannes Brahms and Sixth Symphony Gustav Brunner that has not been sounded in Ukraine for a long time. And I think that this concert, the closing of Philharmonic season, will be a colossal musical festival. And I really appreciate the fact that Mr. Mykhailo invited me, and you clearly understand that now during the times of war it's difficult for the people here. People don't sleep in the night. People live under terrible stress. Every single person is bringing that stress to work, something that you cannot see first. What happened outside or elsewhere, they carry it to those concerts that they play. Unfortunately, the Americans, Europeans, Australians, they don't quite realize how calm and serene is their life. And when I, as an American or as Ukrainian, I hear what's going on in Afghanistan or Israel or Pakistan, well, you understand, it sounds exotic, that's someone else's life. And we cannot even start to believe that something like that could happen to us now. Ukraine is living in similar conditions, in similar circumstances, probably even worse. And I think that it's my duty, my obligation to support the life in Ukraine, not only in a musical way, but also it's important for Ukrainians to understand that now you can say it's the change of authority, change of power in America. I think people expected to see something different from what they see now. And even those of us who probably voted for the new president among themselves, they say that we were promised not the things that we are seeing now. And the attitude to Ukraine that we're witnessing from American president is not an American attitude to Ukraine. It's an attitude of one single person. And what's even more important, that Ukraine should be convinced, should be confident that the majority of Americans, I'm not saying about 51%, I'm about 151%. They stand with Ukraine. America, basically, is a collection of very different people, but in principle, America is European culture, European mentality, and American state stands with Ukraine. It stands for justice. It wants all this horror to end, just like God knows how it's supposed to end. And I want to reiterate the words of James. As musicians, we cannot change a lot, but I think that our work in some minor way may support what's going on here. And as we come back, whether to America or I will be, for example, in Australia in a week, I'm being invited to different TV studios, and I'm getting these questions right away about the life in Ukraine, what's going on in Ukraine. So our musical presence goes way further than that concert that is about to happen on Friday night. We support Ukraine to the best of our capabilities and be confident that the majority of the world keeps supporting Ukraine. Thank you very much. Those are really important words for all of us. Thank you for being with us. And dear friends, I want to thank you. I want to thank the speakers for joining us today. That was a really inspiring broadcast. So let me remind you once again, Friday night, National Philharmonic of Ukraine. Please join. Don't lose this opportunity. Thank you for joining us, and we continue working together for our victory, and glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes. Thank you.